Hi, and welcome to Straight Shot Radio. My name is Johnny Slick, and I'm the founder and head coach at Straight Shot Training, a personal training company dedicated to helping people of all fitness levels feel better, move better, and live better with progressive, functional strength and conditioning workouts. Continuing our series on coaches who embraced the challenges of 2020, we have Jess Racz, strength and conditioning coach from JR Performance. Even before the lockdown hit, she was paving her own path, being a female strength and conditioning coach in a male-dominated industry. I first met Jess when she was in high school, working out at a gym that I worked at. We've kept in touch over the years, and it's been amazing to see her growth as a coach. But what she accomplished last year is on a whole other level. Jess started her own performance coaching business and opened up a physical location in the middle of the shutdown and has grown JR Performance to be a hotspot for young athletes to come and build both strength and self-confidence with her unique approach. In this episode, Jess shares her experience from last year and all of the struggles and challenges that she's had to face along the way to becoming the coach and mentor that she is today. Before we get into our conversation, though, I want to let you all know again about the Straight Shot email club. You see, the other week we gave away free personal training sessions to some lucky winners in the email club, and we've got plenty more giveaways and deals coming up for our email club members. In addition to these giveaways, the club gets this weekly newsletter with links to all of our content from the week, plus content that you can only get in that newsletter. If you'd like to join, it's free. Just head over to straightshottraining.com and click Join the Email Club to get signed up. While you're over there on the website, you can check out how we help people reach their fitness goals every day with remote personal training. And if you have some questions about working with us, you can click on the Request a Coach button to chat with me personally about it. Again, that's straightshottraining.com. All right, let's hear from Coach Jess Racz now on how the challenges of her life set her up to take on 2020 with full force. What's up, Jess?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You sound great. Can you hear me all right?
Awesome. Yeah, I can.
Oh, well, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me for a second today.
No, absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah. So obviously, this time last year was a little bit different for the both of us.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, it's crazy, for sure. Just how like COVID and stuff.
It's wild. I don't know about you, but I've been really feeling like reflective over the past couple of weeks about like how different life was for us as coaches last year, where everything was kind of up in the air.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So like, it's just amazing, even just how much COVID has just impacted even just like the fitness world and stuff. And even like where I was a year ago is different. Like I opened up my gym a year ago, like during COVID, and had to like navigate that and, all that kind of stuff. And so it's definitely been a very challenging year, but there's been a lot of pros and cons and stuff just to COVID in general and how it's just impacted everything. And who knows when it'll end, but
absolutely. And I definitely want to get into talking about your physical location, because I mean, that really impressed me that you pulled that off last year. We have to get into that. But before we do this, I think it's important for people to know a little bit of your backstory, because I met you when you were in high school and you were working out at the Y.
Yep.
and
yep.
a lot's happened since then. So can you give us just a little bit of a backstory, starting out mainly in high school with your athletic career there, and what kind of has happened up through high school through college?
Yeah, absolutely. So through high school, I played two sports. I played basketball and lacrosse. And so during my junior year, I really just decided to focus on basketball. I wanted to go D1, just all the dreams that every young female has within basketball. They want to go at the highest level. They want to become the best athlete that they can be. And I wanted to be that athlete. The work ethic was there, but the resources that I had were not. And so I didn't have the best coaches, and I also didn't put myself in opportunities to succeed. Like my parents were all there. They were there to support, but people that actually knew how to get me to that level, I just didn't have. I wasn't on a very good AAU team. And even just back then, like social media wasn't really around. Instagram, like just started, but like, so the whole strength and conditioning and sports performance and skills training, like all that stuff it might have existed, but I didn't necessarily see it. There were a lot of female athletes that didn't see it back then. So unless you were on a specific AAU team or you just had, a God-given ability, then, recruiting and trying to elevate your game was very hard. So junior year, I really wanted that goal. And then after my junior year, going into my senior season, I started dealing with just some mental issues and stuff. So I went through like a depression and eating disorder, and I got down to like 105 pounds at the Y.
Gosh.
I would run so much. I would just run and run and run, thinking that if I became, skinnier, or if I lost weight, or if I became this certain image, that maybe I would be happier, or I would succeed. And so the identity of me playing basketball really just kind of correlated to the eating disorder and the depression that I went through. And just because, that was my identity, that's what I wanted to do. And when that dream, like, just, I burned out, like I couldn't do it anymore. And so after my senior year, I went to college, and I always thought that I needed to go this like step by step. So like I had to, graduate high school, go to college, get a job, start a family, like that typical step-by-step process that everyone is taught that we have to live. And so I experienced within the past like 5 years, 6 years since high school, graduating high school to now, I've really just seen like, you don't have to have that. You can pivot and you can just find yourself and find, what you're passionate about. And so, it all comes down to, that's why I do what I do, because what I went through in high school in terms of the basketball. And then as we'll get into, there's been a lot more, things that have happened in my life that have now, led me to where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And I vividly remember you working out in like the corner of the Y, and you would do these like circuits, and you would be in the gym for hours.
Yep.
and
not knowing
then,
what I was doing.
Yeah.
Just say that.
But that's something where, I remember back then that you've always had this really strong work ethic. And I think that's, like you said, it wasn't guided correctly. And you didn't have the coaches in place to be able to help you channel that work ethic to something that was, more performance related and that was healthier and allowed you to have this good view of yourself as you were doing it, which is so cool, because that's what you're doing now as a coach for young women. So do you feel like, did you really pull still from your high school experience in how you coach these young ladies in their sports?
Oh, 100%. So I tell really what my purpose is I'm trying to be the coach that I needed in high school, when I was 16, when I was 17, and even that coach that I needed in college, transitioning into college. And so that's really that's why I do what I do. That's one of the big things, is like, what did I need when I was 16 or 17? And so now it doesn't become about me anymore. This isn't about me. This is about helping the young females that have so much potential and so much untapped potential. How can I bring out that potential? Like I am a shy and reserved person. Like I wouldn't talk very much, even like back in high school. I was super reserved. I just would stick to myself. And so over these past couple years, like I've really had to just let that go. I'm like, these female athletes don't need someone that's shy and reserved. They need someone that gives them confidence and teaches them things that they wish that will help, that through my experiences, I feel like I would have needed to know. And just, I really had to really step outside of my comfort zone and not become. So I've almost become this shy and reserved person. And now I become, someone that maybe someone else needs. And you just it's not about me. It's about building the best athletes to give them the courage and confidence. And most of the time, like with athletes, it's not even their physical ability. They have all the physical ability in the world, just like, I believe I did. Obviously, it could have been a lot better, but I just was naturally gifted at sports. Like I could be thrown into any sport and I could do okay at it. Right. Like I could do well at it. Like I didn't play lacrosse, and I had people that said like I could have played D1 for lacrosse. I had offers to play basketball. It just all happened naturally to me without these skills training. And so there's a lot of athletes like that with that natural ability, but confidence And that mentality just gets in the way. And now with social media, it's even worse. You're talking about body image issues. You're talking about confidence. You're talking about like how females are told to sit back and stay on the sidelines or, be in the kitchen, like whatever it may be. And so I'm not, like, what did I need? Like, I thought that same thing too, like back then. So it's like, what do I need to do in order to bring to kind of change the game a little bit and chop that up and make sure that these athletes may hear this, but how can they really push through and realize that they can do anything that they want? So absolutely, it's not about me. It's not just the training. It's not just the weightlifting, or the drills. Like, it's about actually making an impact and building a relationship with them, and then teaching them things that I wish I knew.
Man, that is so awesome. Especially when you're talking about the confidence part, and obviously you were gifted as an athlete, but it's such a double standard that when you have a female athlete who talks about how good she is at her sport and how hard she works and her gifts and her abilities and why she can be a dominant force in whatever sport it is that she's in. It's for some reason people then bring that up as like someone being cocky when you have the same thing coming from a male athlete, and it's confidence.
Right. Exactly.
It's so messed up.
I posted about that. I was like, y'all can be humble about your talents. That's fine. But like, know that you're a badass too. And every time a female athlete comes into me, one of the first questions I ask is, what are you good at? And they stutter, like they have no idea.
Wow.
They literally are like, I don't know. And I'm just like, what are you good at? Like, what do you believe what are your strengths? And it's really having to like sometimes really dig it out. It's like pulling teeth sometimes, which I totally understand. Back then, I did not know what I was good at. So I'm really like empathetic of it for sure. And I really just try to help them out. I'll be like, hey, I'll give you an example. Like, I haven't even seen you play your sport, but the way that you're the way you are and you conduct yourself in here, I know like your potential. And so I've been able to see that with the athletes that I'm working at, but they don't even know what they're good at. They don't know what their strengths are. But if I give them, I would say, what are you bad at? What do you need to get better at? Oh man, instantly, like seconds.
Yeah,
they're gonna give me a list of everything that they're bad at, or anything that anyone else has said that they are not good at or they need to get better at. So it's just crazy, the mentality, and like no one's having that conversation at all. I don't know any coaches that, I mean, I'm sure there's coaches out there. But there's a lot of coaches that are really just not getting the mentality part. And especially when you're a male coach, training a female athlete, like it's all about preference, obviously. But like a female is going to know a female's mentality, especially when, I've experienced it.
Absolutely. No, we can't even pretend to understand the experience of a female athlete as male athletes, because we haven't been there, and we don't know what it's like. So that's why I think it's so important for male coaches, male athletes to listen to the female voices in the strength and conditioning space, listen to the female athletes and understand like their experience has been such a tougher road than it is for the average male athlete. And that, I mean, did you see the weight room at the big controversy of the weight room? At
oh my gosh.
Yes.
No, it's something that I would definitely wanted to bring up because it was like good timing about this podcast. Cause you said like how tough it is to be a female in the strength conditioning industry, but also for female athletes in general, like it is an extremely tough road. Because now, even when you look at the NCAA, just like the amount of disparities between the men and women is like on full display. Like the NCAA really showed how like they've been preaching equality and togetherness throughout this COVID. And that they claim that their student athlete, for their student athletes, but with the weight room, with the meals, with the COVID testing, cheaper COVID testing, even the game floor, if you look at the game floor, it says NCAA women's basketball versus March Madness. It's like March Madness has been a word just for Division I men's basketball. And so they didn't even think, and they, it shows that they didn't think and they don't think women deserve the same amenities as the men, or they don't have, the same value. And they put it on full display at the NCAA.
Absolutely. Yeah. For anyone listening who isn't sure what we're talking about, they had a picture. It was I can't remember the athlete that posted the picture. Do you remember where she was from?
So it was a strength and conditioning coach from Stanford.
She was the coach from Stanford.
First one. Yep, she was the first one it was a strength and conditioning coach from Houston. For the Houston men's basketball team, took a picture of the men's weight room, and then she made a collage or a pic collage of their weight room. And she's like, I don't normally post things like this, but this is absolutely ridiculous and disrespectful.
Yeah, and the picture, the women's strength and conditioning room was just a tree of dumbbells that I think went up to 15 pounds. And
yeah, it was 30. Yeah.
Yes, and the men's area was this full banquet area of a hotel set up with, rigs and racks and plates all over the place and tons of space. And it was I thought it was a joke at first. And I thought somebody was just making a joke. And then I looked it up, and that was legit what they had there. And the NCAA, came out and apologized for it. But that is absurd that is.
It's a Band-Aid. They were just covering up.
Yeah.
It's a Band-Aid. It's not about the weight room. That should have been done beforehand. It's you're seeing women as less valuable than their male counterparts. And then, I like to compare it to, it's I saw this quote that now coaches are coming out with statements, and they were it's like giving women at universities cheaper cafeteria food, cheaper textbook and resources because of their perceived cash value. And so it's just insane. NCAA is a nonprofit organization, so you can't even put the money aspect into it. And NCAA came out and said it wasn't a money issue, that it was a space issue. And then another video came out now with TV. And so you had WNBA players, you had NBA players really supporting, it went viral, really supporting the women's game and being NCAA, y'all messed up. This is super disrespectful. Now you got coaches coming out with this statement, really showing we have a long way to go. And so and even you look at the women's game has definitely grown, even just in the past year, I saw a statistic, it's the women's tournament challenge, filling out the brackets and stuff has doubled.
Awesome.
So since 2019, and its presence continues to rise, on a global level. You have, Sabrina Ionescu's, Paige Becker's, Brianna Stewart, Sue Bird. You have these high-level athletes with thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, even millions of followers. If you look at Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan, so there's no reason why at the college level with the NCAA as a nonprofit organization, preaching how we're togetherness and equality, and then treating them as less than their male counterparts. It's everything should be absolutely equal.
Absolutely. Jeez. So now is that something that's something that you've always had to experience as an athlete and then a coach getting into this space. You started out coaching at a CrossFit, right?
Yes. So I, like I said before, I always thought that I needed to do this step-by-step process. So I went to University of Delaware. I transferred. That's kind of where I found CrossFit and started to get into that. And honestly, I was in a very, very low place, depression, suicidal thoughts, all that kind of stuff, not eating. And so I ended up messaging this guy named Colt, and, I have him over and over again throughout the years. And it's definitely due time to really tell him how much that one person changed my life. And he saved me from maybe harming myself. And so I had reached out to him last desperation type thing. And he's absolutely come join us. It was a college CrossFit that we went to. They went to it. It was a group of 15 of them that went to a gym locally at the University of Delaware. And he was so nice, so welcoming. And honestly, that one message, I don't even know what really got me to even send that message, but the way that he responded and how welcoming he was, that's what saved my life. So I ended up getting into CrossFit, realized, I kind of want to pursue this because I'm an athlete, I'm competitive. What else is there to do other than college basketball? And so, I decided like, okay, maybe I want to pursue something like this. Like, obviously it's almost impossible task, but I decided to transfer to Shepherd University and commute from home. And so I ended up going to a CrossFit gym that ended up going through an ownership change after I had just been like taking classes and stuff. And then, realized that I wanted to start coaching and getting more confident with that and teaching people this. And I'd always had a passion for the fitness and athletes and stuff. So I decided to go the CrossFit route and started coaching, your soccer moms, your, the 70, 80-year-olds that, need to stay in shape, or just anyone, just general health for people. It wasn't necessarily athletes. And I just started doing CrossFit classes, and then, thought that I wanted to do physical therapy, and what did I want to do? What did I want to get into? And that's kind of how I went through the athlete route, because I actually got the opportunity through one of my coaches to start training their son or their daughter. And so they had seen me like on Instagram and whatever, me posting these videos, and they were like, oh, can you train my daughter? And that's kind of how I got into that. So that was outside of the CrossFit. And then I got a job to start doing personal training with inside of the CrossFit gym that I was at. And that was at the X Project. So Michael really, like, he taught me everything that I know now. And he kind of led the way and kind of gave me the push to really see fitness in a different realm and see my confidence in a different realm. So he kind of passed the torch a little bit. So he, we used to spend hours and hours at a time, like in between CrossFit classes. I used to spend all day there. We would always talk, and he would teach me things about life in general. It wasn't just the training aspect. He would teach me everything, the emotional, spiritual, like intellect, like everything. And he's a very passionate, coach, but it's more than just fitness. And so we kind of connected on that level, and he really helped me become the coach I am, and, gave me the confidence to pursue. And he was always an outlet for me to be able to talk to someone that I needed to. So, you realize that you have different people at different stages in your life, that really help you get to where you want to be. And that's kind of what I'm noticing. So, it was, the UD CrossFit Club, and then it was the X Project. And now, it's my family's always been there, but now it's like, the community that I have now of my athletes, my girlfriend, my family, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And it's you had these coaches and these other athletes who are kind of, building your confidence and lifting you up along the way. And, it's just like you said before, now you have the opportunity to do this to other people. Right. Which is always cool whenever it works out like that. So you coached at the gym for a little bit, but when did this idea for you starting your own company start? Because I mean, that's a whole other thing in all of this too, is you becoming a business owner.
Yeah, no. So back when I was coaching CrossFit, I was like, and just seeing, Michael go through the business stuff and really seeing that as an employee, I was like, there is no way in hell I want to own a business. I was like, I don't want to go through that. Like, it seems like it's ridiculous. So I never thought that I would ever open up a gym, but, life has, it's ways of just putting you where you need to be, and everything happens for a reason. So it happened about, I would say 2 or so years ago, about a year before I decided to leave the gym. I was like getting the idea of it, because in order to, grow and build myself and build what I wanted to build, I knew that I had to go out on my own. Like the vision that, the X Project had versus the vision I had just wouldn't have worked. And so I knew that it was time, like, to really grow my brand and grow me, not have another person's name. Like, I really just I realized that I needed to work, I needed to be this, the CEO, I needed to be the owner, I needed to be the head coach, just like my personality, but also like in order to grow the brand that I wanted to grow and grow myself and promote myself.
Yeah. And you know what, that's something that happens naturally in this industry. And I don't think that you are the type of person who, is the number 3 coach in a big gym. Like, this is what you're supposed to, this
Right.
is clearly what you're supposed to be doing. So I think this was just a natural pathway for you to start doing your own thing. But I think probably, was it 2020 that really just like gave you the kick to just really go hard with it?
No, yeah, it was definitely 2020. Before I even knew anything about COVID, I had started looking for places about 6 months before, and I was deciding, okay, where do I want to go? Do I want to stay within Frederick? Do I want to go, more towards DC? Like, what's the best option for me right now? And I ended up finding the place that I'm at now. I had, help looking around, but it was really just driving around and finding a place. And I saw this lease for sale, and I talked to, my contract leaser who helped me with that best. And I was like, I got to take that risk, in hopes of helping other, athletes, that, female athletes, but also, any athlete that comes into my gym. Like, how can I give them the best opportunity? And it's me making that risk, and putting, others in front of myself to make that decision.
Yeah. So six months you were looking for the place, and then when did you actually get it?
So I signed the lease in March, about right before COVID. So
Oh,
March
no
1st, I
way. Oh
signed the
my
lease. Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, like right
Oh
before. I
no.
have receipts. I have receipt dates of when I bought all the equipment, and it was March 11th. And then that
Oh
week
my
is when
gosh.
everything shut down. Right. So like, other than just squat racks, that's the only thing I didn't have. I had gotten everything that I needed, but I couldn't open up my gym. And so April 1st was when I was supposed to open up. I was like super excited. I was ready to
Oh
go.
no.
I had everything, and then boom, everything shut down. So I was grateful in the fact that I found a spot, before COVID happened, that I had gotten all my fitness equipment, but it definitely, I had my challenges with that.
Yeah. But I mean, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on in this series was, the series is all about coaches pivoting in 2020 to make it happen. You just immediately started hustling out of your garage.
Yes. So I bought all the, I asked my mom, I was like, cause I still live with my parents at the time. And I just asked my mom, I was like, hey, can I outfit the garage to a gym? Because like, I'm screwed if I, cause obviously that was my only living, and no one was hiring at the time. And
No.
so I brought all my fitness equipment. I definitely hustled outside the garage. I started, training my neighbors because they saw me just training. And then all the athletes that I had, I was just like, hey, you can come and, let's train, let's get some work in. And I would ask people all the time, like I would just message people, and I still message people this day, like, hey, let's get some work in. And so that's what I did. I did that until about June, until like gyms were opening. And so I was in a good spot in terms of being a gym because I was a small gym. I don't have
Yes.
any more than about 8 people at a time. I train mostly individual athletes, and then I have a couple groups, but that's pretty much it. So I was in a good position because it was like it came out with a 10 or less. And I was like, sweet, I can go ahead and do that because I'm 10 or less. And, you just wear a mask. You just, socially distance, all that kind of stuff. And so it presented the challenge of, having to pivot and but honestly, like being a part of the X project, Michael allowed me to have, my business, obviously with some commission to him as well, but he let me go and train other people, and I didn't owe him anything. So he allowed me to start my brand even outside of the gym. So I was used to training kids outside or at a field or on a basketball court. So like I was used to that style.
Okay.
And so it was that I was grateful for, because like doing the outside workouts, like you can still get a good workout outside. I had already had experience with that. Also the pro of having a smaller gym. And so that helped as well. And then also having all the equipment. So there was a lot of pros, and it got, it helped me in a way because now sports were canceled. Kids still need to work out. And that's how I also got a lot of clients as well. So there was a lot of challenges. Definitely was not easy through that COVID process. Still is not easy now. But it did help. There are pros, and I definitely have to look at the pros as, as that, and know that like, everything happens for a reason. And maybe, COVID really did help in a way.
Yeah, man. Gosh, and we have our cameras off because you can't see how big I'm smiling here, Jess. But this is exactly why you are already successful and why you are going to continue to be successful. Is because in everything you just said, you didn't speak in a negative tone about anything that happened last year when you arguably had even more of a right than me to be, mad about what happened because you had a location, you had a gym, you had everything set up, and all of a sudden you can't do anything. But rather than sit there and feel sorry for yourself, I remember you put out videos after videos after videos on Instagram. You were all over the place. I remember the hill sprints you did with everybody with the cones leading up your hill.
Yeah.
The videos inside your garage. You just started putting stuff out there and making it happen rather than just sitting back and complaining about it. And
Yeah.
you've taken every situation and made something out of it to now. You're running stuff out of your gym, when most people, there's a lot of gyms that closed their doors last year because they couldn't find a way to pivot, and you actually found a way to open up a gym in the middle of 2020, which is super impressive.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. I've really through 2020, especially like I it's important that I'm real to and authentic to everyone that I'm with. And, I've gone through so many challenges this year that have really like knocked me down, like almost knocked me down. There's so many times that I've wanted to quit and just say like, I can't do this. But and then I have those really great moments and those great days. But this is definitely not an easy job at all.
No.
And so it's been really tough. And especially, being a female in a very male dominated industry, like it's very, very, very tough. So I've dealt with a lot of challenges just from being a female in a male dominated industry. But also even just like being a part of the LGBTQ community. Like I've dealt with a lot of hate, honestly. Like you really learn like who has your back and who doesn't. And so, I've gone through drama with that and having to overcome that. I've gone through, people leaving, because of how I choose to orient myself and how I choose to live my life or who I choose to love. I've had, people not want to come to my gym because of that reason. So it's like, there's been a lot of challenges that way. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I never thought that would happen. It's definitely been hard, but I'm working on myself mentally too, as I preach it to my athletes that I work with. So, but it's been very hard, and there's a lot of behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see.
So we talked a bit before about your, drilling this self-confidence, strong work ethic, helping your athletes separate themselves, not just physically, but separate themselves mentally from the pack. That's a big part of your coaching style. So how do you accomplish that? I mean, the physical aspect of it is, you have some really cool drills. You do a lot of different stuff that we'll get into in a second when it comes to the physical side. But do you, sit and have talks? Is it kind of naturally just happen during the session, or how do you have these tough conversations with athletes?
Yeah, so it depends on the person, really. So each individual has their own set of, confidence issues. There's very common ones, but each needs a different outlet. Each needs a different solution to that problem that they may be having or whatever is holding them back. So really, for me, during the first couple sessions, if I'm working, for example, with an individual athlete, I'm not really talking anything mentally too much. I'm just getting them to trust me first. If I just throw them with a bunch of advice immediately, they may be a little bit overwhelmed just because of the way that I am. I am very passionate, and sometimes too passionate to a fault. So I can be very, very intense, but it's all coming from, the heart in a very good place. But if the athlete doesn't really know me, I'm not just going to throw them. So usually the first couple sessions, what I'm doing is I'm making them feel comfortable with me and knowing that this is a safe space for them to be who they want to be. And that, I'm going to help them achieve their goals, like that I see their potential already. Without even seeing them play.
Yeah.
The first 15 minutes, I know if an athlete is going high level or if they're not. Like even I've posted something before, watch them go through ladder drills and see how they go through ladder drills. Like that is just a great example because not from the physical side. Like I think a lot of people, they misinterpret it when I said, have them go through ladder drills, that they're talking about the physical side of their natural athletic ability. I'm talking about how do they go through the entire ladder, each single ladder all the time? Are they working hard? Are they paying attention? Are they focused? Are they listening? Are they nodding their head when I'm talking? Are they fixing? Are they adapting? Are they coachable? So like that is what I really focus on when I work with an athlete. And then I start to get into the mental side of it. And so before I'm explaining everything, like the why, how this is going to help you, all that kind of stuff, that I help with this stuff. I help with confidence. I help with nutrition. And then once they get comfortable with me and ask, hey, what are you good at? What are your strengths? Okay. I usually show them like maybe some different things that they can do, but it's really just conversations while they're training. So I don't really sit down with a lot of athletes. Like they go through a workout and they're like, all right, let's talk. Cause it's not therapy. Like I'm not a therapist, no. But I'm integrating, like, I'm teaching them why they're doing what they're doing for every single exercise. So they know exactly what they're doing and they know that this is going to help with that. And then naturally, just through asking questions or they ask me something, I go on a ramble about something and it ends up helping them. And so it all depends on the person, honestly. But usually with a new athlete, I'm not like, because I don't know them yet. I don't know what makes them tick, what makes them go, like what motivates them, what coaching style fits best with them. So like you have to, as a coach, often you have to adapt. You have your style and your philosophy, but you have to adapt to your individual athlete to tap into their ability, because one way may not work for them as another athlete would. So because I preach just culture and relationships. So the athletes that I work with, I'm very close with. Like I want to help them not only in the gym and their athletic goals, but like what's beyond your athletic goals, right? And even in athletics too, it's like so many female athletes. I was a little bit different in the fact that like I had swagger. I was mean on the court. I had my fearful moments, but like and you're watching like the NCAA tournament now and you see these girls like that have the swagger and it's now becoming, okay, that's how I need to orient myself. And so I focus on the mentality part, but it's also like it's everything. It's not just a training session, it's life. It's like I want to be able to 5 years from now, if you're getting married or like whatever, like I want to be invited to your wedding. I want to be I want to be able to still, talk on the phone with you and have conversations with you and, be a part of your entire athletic journey. And, you invest in the process with me, not just for a couple months, but for years. It's really all just to build female athletes in whatever sport and just, and in the industry too, and just give them a better opportunity, quality. Like there's not a lot of women in this field for sure. That was a lot of info for your question, but
no, it was awesome. No, I'm just taking it all in because that's actually what I was going to get into next was, where do you hope to go with this and what are you kind of trying to accomplish with it? And you really covered it right there with, being a voice in this space that is underrepresented and is, like we talked about before with the NCAA, undervalued. I hear all the time about, male athletes very early on getting into strength training, but, how many young female athletes, 12, 13, 14 are encouraged to start lifting weights?
No, definitely not. That's the huge discrepancy. It's such an untapped area. Like there is male athletes, like with trainers, the male they believe they have to live up to a certain image. And if you look at the NCAA men's, like everyone is just jacked. So like if you're not physically strong, like you're not going to make it. Female athletes, you can get away with that if you have just insane athletic God gifted ability, right? So like the top 5-10%, like may have not had any strength training and can still go D1 because they're insanely athletic. They can shoot the ball. They have skill. At the men's level, you can't get away with that. But like women, for example, like if you're not that top 5-10%, like you have so much untapped potential. And so it's like that training can really help not only build your confidence, but it's going to transfer to the game as well.
Absolutely.
And so, female athletes and females in this industry, we're overlooked. We're not as smart. No one's going to listen to us. We're not going to make it. Like, we can't lift weights, stay on the sidelines. We're undervalued. We're not as capable. And even if you look at the salaries between the men's strength and conditioning coaches versus the female.
Yeah, gosh.
I was talking to the Washington Mystics strength coach, over COVID. And she said that the Seattle Storm strength and conditioning coach for the women's basketball, first, there's not a lot of strength and conditioning coaches within the WNBA. But second, she has to have 2 jobs just to support her family. She does not get paid enough. And they've won 2 championships. Like, they just won this year. Like, they got Sue Bird, they got Brianna Stewart. Like, it is and the game is growing. And so why aren't we giving, these people in the industry, especially females, like, what they deserve? But then you look at the male side and, like, they're getting way double, triple. And you look at the women's salaries, even athletes. And so, like, I'm fighting, for that same thing, just like as other females in this, I'm just in this industry, or female athletes are, they're fighting for equal pay. They're fighting for equality. I'm just doing it within the strength and conditioning industry, but, athletes are doing it for athletes. And I think every female deserves, to be as equal as a man.
Absolutely. And I really think that you're doing an awesome job with, combining the physical and the mental aspect with your athletes to instill this confidence that, because how much this stuff, transfers outside the weight room into how the women are carrying themselves and, speaking up and demanding equality and having a seat at the table, and it just kind of, breaking down the boys clubs throughout, every industry that we have right now, is so that we can get to a point where, everybody is listening to everybody because everybody has something to offer.
Yeah. You're seeing it more and more, especially now with social media. You're seeing, like, the first NFL coach who's a woman, or the first female ref for a Super Bowl. And you're seeing finally some sort of, breakthrough, and, how we're chopping it up a little bit. And you see even males starting to really support the women's game. And you have to, like, the male athletes, if a young male sees their role model supporting the women's game, for example, Kobe, like, he preached that Mamba mentality, but, if you don't have Mamba mentality and you're not supporting the women's game, then you don't have it, so it's like, you're seeing Kobe, who was now involved in the women's game. And that really helped a lot, like that. So, like, even just having, males now, speaking out and really helping, like, that's going to start the change. More women who have the confidence and courage to, step into that and really just try to make a change, no matter how hard it is. And they just keep pushing through. And, it's not for us. It's not, for us to benefit. It's for, the 12-year-old girl that wants to go to the WNBA and make that, or the 13-year-old girl with who has no idea where sports may not be an option, but she really likes to be a strength conditioning coach. Like, can the fight that we are fighting now make that better for her, just as the females in the past have made it easier for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you, with the experience that you had going through high school and what you dealt with personally, and how open you are about that you seeing the young women that you are now and walking this walk with them and being open about, what your life has been like, that you have the opportunity to save them from a lot of the stuff that you had to go through. And I think that that's really important for coaches to help athletes. I mean, obviously there's bumps in the road for all athletes, but if we can help them make, less mistakes or go through less hardships than we had to go through, that you don't need to go through, then we're doing our job as a coach.
No, absolutely. I totally agree.
So real quick, I want to make sure that people know, what it is that you do over there at JR Performance. So what do you offer in the way of, like, in-person sessions, online? Tell me what you got going on with that.
Yeah, so I have a couple of different things going on. Right now, I do individual and group training. So my group training is usually for high school. I don't train a lot of middle school. It's just not the realm that I do have a few middle schoolers, but
Okay.
I'm more tapping into the high school realm. And so just because of my time and space, like I've had so many people tell me not to specialize, but and that it's a mistake, or what I'm doing, like I should have a bigger space so I can have more people in the gym, but like that's not what I'm about. I'm about developing relationships and a culture when you come into the gym, right? So I don't have a lot of clients compared to a lot of gyms around in Frederick, but I have clients that I have a great relationship with and that I help them on an individual basis. So the group training, I have less than six, about six or less. And so that's just general programming in every aspect of, strength and conditioning. Like I'm going to increase your footwork. I'm going to increase your strength. I'm going to increase your explosiveness, like all of that, but it's generalized to fit for the group. I have some college athletes within that high school group too. And that's more of the juniors and seniors. And so they've had experience with me. They're put into a group that they would fit best in. Most of them are experienced coming from other gyms. And so that is usually what I do with the groups. And so, they go early in the morning. So I'm up, they want to go before school, I'm up as well. So
that's awesome.
I have that. And then I offer individual training. They're going to get an individualized, customized approach, all detailed specifically to their sport and their goals. So if an athlete, for example, plays lacrosse, I have a lot of lacrosse athletes. So Maryland is a huge hotspot for lacrosse. And so I train a lot of lacrosse athletes, and so and they're beasts. But I train a lot of them individually because a lot of them are different in the way that their style and the way that they need to be coached, and also their programming. Like I can't treat someone that has, for example, 10 years of gymnastics experience versus someone that is a multi-sport athlete and already has footwork and explosiveness. Like I need to treat them differently, which means I need to give them different programming. So everything's individualized based off of them, based off their goals. Then I can really tap into that mental aspect of it. It's very hard when I'm in a group of 6 to 8 girls to really like talk mentality, right? Their attention span is not very long, I've realized. And so like individually, I can really have their full attention, they're focused, and then they feel really good coming out of that. So that's more the realm I'm trying to go into. I train a lot of lacrosse. I train all sports, but I am a basketball performance specialist. I just love the game. I want to build the game just based off my experience. So I'm really trying to tap into that and just build basketball athletes who want to play D1 or at the D1 level, D3, D2, like whatever level it may be, who have just goals of wanting to be better. But really any athlete that just is driven and humbled and coachable and just wants to get after it. Like, I totally want to train them, and like want to invest in them and have them invest in me. But that's so what I brought up before is that I've had a lot of people tell me not to specialize. And so like, I've realized that you can't base what you're doing off of someone else's opinion. And that's what I try to teach to my, that's what I try to teach. Yeah, that's what I teach to my athletes. It's like, you're going to have a lot of people tell you what to do, but like, don't let anyone tell you what you can't, like that you can't do something or that you can't be something. And so I have just gone into this realm of specialization of even just like lacrosse training as well, because I do have a lot of lacrosse athletes and I know the game because I played it for years, but basketball as well. So like, I would say those are definitely my 2 specializations. But basketball is my overall goal. I want to build the women's game specifically. So group training, individual training, basketball training as well. At some point, I don't have a gym, but the goal is for my next gym to have like a half court or something where I can now apply. So that I can apply the strength and conditioning with the basketball training and really just implement it all. And then I do have online apps that I'm coming out with now. I just came out with a 12-week program that's basketball specific. So people that don't have the money to be able to train with me, they can have this 12-week for like super cheap, that they can do at home or at a local gym where they're training with me and can really they're training with me like online at a fraction of the cost. And then I'm right now working on a 30-day program to improve like your first step in explosiveness.
Okay.
And so that's definitely, I'm doing like little tiny programs, seeing what works, really just test and trial, seeing what need and want. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I offer. And then that's really like, why, like, everything that we've talked about, why I do what I do, just how I am just continuing to separate myself and just learning a lot about, also like, you got to put yourself out there, no matter what anyone else thinks. And you can't let anyone tell you what you can't do. I get rejected on a daily basis, and it's just part of the game, right?
Yep.
You only need one. And so I've gotten rejected. I've gotten shamed for who I am. Like, I've had to deal with all this stuff, and I'm still dealing with it, and I'm going to continue to deal with it. But like, I have a great support system. I have an amazing girlfriend. Like, I have a gym. I own my own business. I have so many great things right in this moment. And so no problem actually exists. But for me, I definitely tend to overthink and get away from that. So I think for me, like, I'm trying to learn on that presence. Like right now, I don't have any issues. Right now, I have the athletes that I have, and I'm going to do everything that I can to make them better.
Absolutely. Man, what a good mindset too. Cool. So where can people find you online?
So I'm coming out with a website soon.
Okay.
That'll be in the next couple weeks. But right now I kind of just go through Instagram. Instagram has been where I've gotten pretty much everything. So at Coach JR Performance, or you can just type in Jess Racz, my name, and it'll come up. But that's where people, that's kind of where I show more of what I do. And then also like, that's kind of how people reach out to me as well.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this stuff, Jess. I mean, I've told you before in our conversations on Instagram and stuff, how proud I am of you, but it's just like hearing you and the growth that you've had just even in the past year, and then like what you're setting up for yourself now and where I know you're going to be in like 5 years, 10 years. I'm excited that I know you, because I know that I'm going to be talking to you in 10 years and probably asking you advice because it's just, you've got such a good attitude with this. And we went through very similar things in 2020 with the courses of our careers. And, we do things, pretty differently in the way that we coach people, but and the types of people that we train, but we do have so many things in common when it comes to this experience. And it's really cool to talk to somebody else who embraced the challenges of 2020. And I know that you've got just an awesome future ahead of you. And I'm super proud of already what you've done.
No, yeah, it's been a long way since the why, but also credit to you. You were one of those coaches that really helped me in that, even though like we have a better relationship now than we did back then, because I was just super quiet and didn't want to get to know anyone. Like I just like, honestly, like it's awesome to see like a like-minded coach. You're super smart at what you do. Like I learned a lot from you, and I've, you are one of those people that like continue to support me as well. And that have been loyal to me like over the years, and just always like checking in and, commenting on my stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super grateful for you as well.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share this episode with your friends, that would be awesome. You can find us on social media using the handle @StraightShotTraining. And again, our website is straightshottraining.com, where you can join the email club and learn more about how we can help you by getting you started with a coach today. Thanks again, and have a great week, everybody.